Welcome to Construction Champions Podcast, where we are burning the house down and rebuilding it twice a week. I'm your host, Ron Nussbaum, and I am here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. Along with our amazing guests along the way, we will provide you with the resources, the latest and greatest. You will sit down with disruptors in the construction industry. And my goal from day one has always been to change the mindset around the construction industry. No more where we let the 3%. Welcome back, Construction Champions, to another amazing episode. I'm your facilitator, Ron Nussbaum. I am the founder and CEO of BuilderComms, and I am the one that gets the privilege of bringing together thought leaders, industry disruptors, people that are out there pushing the limits of what can happen in the construction industry, and we just simply have a conversation. It's like we're getting a cup of coffee, we're all sitting down, and we're just talking about how we can be better as an industry. And like I said, I don't do this myself. You don't get on here and listen to Ron Nussbaum for the next 30 minutes. You get to listen to our amazing guests, and today is no different. We have Jennifer, and JJ with us today. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us. This is great.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into it, why don't the two of you introduce yourself to all the champions out there listening?
Jennifer, why don't you take the lead?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Wilkerson. I'm the Vice President at the National Center for Construction Education and Research. I've been here, be 16 years next month. In my previous life, I was a high school English teacher for 13 years. My husband and I started a welding fabrication shop back in 1998 in Gainesville, Florida, that we just recently sold last year, but have had an incredible run. So while I was going to college, he was doing his welding apprenticeship in Miami-Dade County, and this is what led us here. I found out that I could join education and construction and be as happy as can be.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's cool. Hey, Ron. So JJ Owen here. I'm the executive director of the Skilled Careers Coalition, a big tent, fast-growing national coalition that seeks to work across all the amazing stakeholders out there who are doing great things to hold up the trades, from parents and advisors to industry, nonprofits, government, and lest we forget the young people, the next generation, right? So not only the stakeholders, but also across sectors. We're agnostic. We want to hold up multiple pathways. We want, really at the end of the day, to raise the profile of trades, specifically within young people's lives and eyes, and the supportive relationships around them, to let them know, like, hey, like, your trade is a launch pad for a high purpose, high pay career. We do that through our flagship program called Skills Jam, which is a social media brand that we launched on YouTube and TikTok, and we've had over 40 million views of our content, and we've been cooking with gas for a couple of years now, and we get to work with cool people like Jennifer Wilkerson over here. So that's the day job. My history, I mean, I was a baseball player, came up, I guess if I'm a master craftsman in anything, it's in the tools of ignorance, as Yogi Berra would say. I was a catcher. I'm surprised that I did not end up on a job site, to be frank, given how you get down and dirty and taking foul tips and all things in between. But my path to where I'm at today, actually, once they say an athlete dies two deaths, right? The day you retire and stop playing, and then the day you actually die. I spent a little time trying to figure out what the heck to do with my life, which is a common theme that I hear, not only with athletes, but like veterans and whatnot, right? Like, you go from one day being JJ, the baseball player, or private first class so-and-so, right? And then you're introduced at a barbecue and it's like, oh, it's just JJ now. It wasn't anything special anyways, to be frank. Like, I got to play ball at USC, which was a lot of fun, but like, I am the anti-athlete. Like, I was like John Kruk style, right? Like, so in any case, once I figured out that, baseball was done, I started working in philanthropy a little bit, in social impact, working with the Movember Foundation. So as you can see by my mustache, old habits die hard. We rallied a national, actually international effort. It was founded in Australia, but you know, I headed up development for the Movember Foundation in the U.S., where we got guys to grow mustaches for men's health, for prostate and testicular cancer and suicide prevention for men and boys. So I guess in a pure sense of the word, I was a mustache salesman for a hot second, for about 7 years. So yeah, so that's where I find myself today is, you know, working with the Skilled Careers Coalition, mostly in the capacity to try and do what we did with Movember, which is to take a moment, right, and go from being successful to significant, right? Like, how do we take that? Like, the trades are having a moment in a very big way right now, right? How do we make sure that it, you know, especially with Gen Z and even Gen Alpha behind them, right? How do we make sure it's not just a fad, but it's a feature, right? They are the tool belt generation. So this is the fun part for me, where I get to work with guys like you and amazing, you know, folks like Jennifer Wilkerson and our partners to say, hey, listen, like, how do we go further, faster together? And then what's the storytelling we can do to make it happen, right?
I love it. And like I said, before when we were talking, like, I'm super excited for this episode because I believe in what you two are doing, and it's what's going to help with the future of the reputation around construction. One of the reasons I do this show is so we can help change what people's thought process are, is when they think about construction, they just don't think about the person out on the job site swinging a hammer, because construction is so much more than that. The skilled trades, all of it, there's so many layers that go undetected because we have this mindset around it. So we're going to dive right in there. I'm going to ask the $1 million question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
Jennifer, go for it.
Sure. So, a construction champion, I think, is someone that actually understands what the construction industry does and realizes. I mean, we produce 4.5% of the United States GDP on an annual basis. I mean, when you think about what we are doing, it's so unbelievable. People do not take the time. So I think champions are the people that are out there. We love what we do. We love our industry. We are giving back to our communities. We're giving back to our families. We're doing so much. And the champions are the ones that are shouting that from the rooftops. The champions are the ones that we keep coming back when we kept hearing, you know, well, if you can't go to college, you could always get a job in construction. Seriously? Do you know how much math and science are actually in construction? This is like for me, I mean, my whole thing was husband a welder. I watched everything he could do. My kids couldn't even understand the math he was doing. They would say, "Hey, Dad, help us with some math with homework." And he was like, "Well, all you have to do is this way." And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. Wait. We have to show our work, and you have to put it in this." And so I just wanted to always kind of combat that terrible image and that thought process of the people that are in the industry and what the industry does. And so for me, again, you know, being a champion means I'm reminding people, we're building your hospitals. Athletes aren't building the stadiums, the doctors aren't building the hospitals. It is the people that are out there every day from 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock, whatever that might be, until the sun goes down, making sure that you have electricity, making sure that you have plumbing, making sure that when a catastrophe happens, that there are people that come in and they know what they're doing and they can fix that and they can help that. And so champions are the ones, like I said, we know what we do in this industry. We know what it takes, and we know the time away from family and the commitment. These people, I think of it, you know, my husband's a welder, but my brother-in-law's a lineman. And so for his whole life, you know, he spent a lot of the times when other families were hunkered down and they didn't even have electricity. He was the person that was doing that. He was the one in the storm, ready to go, working the overtime to make sure that that electricity got hooked back up quickly, safely, and efficiently. So I think, you know, I think all of us are champions that are in the industry. I think the wives, the husbands, the children, the people doing the work, we're the champions because every day we keep showing back up. And I think the beautiful thing right now, as JJ alluded to, you know, we have a moment in time where all of us can become champions for our industry. All of us can say, you know, we are the ones that are building the world. We are the ones that are building the opportunity. I'm sitting there listening to AI Summit in Washington, D.C., listening to it over the summertime. And all of these people from these data centers are saying, but we need electricians and we need HVAC technicians and we need people to build our centers. So here it is, we're moving on with technology, but some things don't change. And what doesn't change is the people that need to build the facilities and the lines and make all of that happen, because you can come up with great stuff, but if you can't plug in that computer or hook up the lines or the cooling system that's going to keep the data center at the right temperature, then what's the point? So I would say, a champion is just champion. We are the champions. We just need to shout it from the rooftops. And people like you, Ron, are the champions. And the Skilled Careers Coalition, those are the champions that are saying, let us help you do that. People that are looking at our industry and realizing the value and saying, we're going to come and we're going to help you guys because this is worth doing.
I love
it. JJ?
Yeah, I don't want to follow her. I think, some of the stuff that you were saying, Jennifer, like really resonated with me. And it was what I was thinking about is more from an attribute perspective, right? Like a construction champion is someone who's showing up and who's being curious, right? For me. And you look at it on two different levels, right? For that young person who is going to the job site for the first time, like show up, be prepared, get ready to get dirty, go the extra mile, right? Like you're going to be lugging stuff around. You're not going to be doing all the cool stuff on the site. You got to earn that privilege, right? Like showing up, being curious, leaning into the folks that are around you, right? Not even just the core function of the job site, right? Like talk to the guy that's doing the heavy equipment operating, right? Like learn about his or her story, right? And then on the other side, on the other pathway, show up and be curious to the old dogs, right? Like show up in the community, go into those grade schools and middle schools, take time to be an advisor. Like we work, NCCER and the Skilled Careers Coalition, we have great partnerships with Skills USA. They need advisors, right? It's not for a lack of interest. Like there's a bunch of young people out there who want to kick the tires on the trades, right? And capacity is really we got a bottleneck issue with some advisors, right? Like we need to have more representatives from industry coming in and, like I said, showing up and being curious. Like don't kick rocks saying, oh, this generation's so difficult, right? Yeah, it's different. It's not difficult. Like be open to trying new things, right? So I'd say that for a construction champion, like on both levels, it's showing up, being curious. And, obviously that means one thing for a young person who's at the start of their career, but for someone who's, at the other side of it or has a wealth of experience, like let's make sure that mentorship is part of the playbook, right? This is why, with Skills Jam, and all the videos that we make and put out on YouTube and TikTok, like we've got two narratives that we really explore. One is, that peer-to-peer or near-to-peer. So we want to showcase young people, in our videos so that if you can see it, you can be it, right? If that 13, 14, 15-year-old in Iowa sees a young person from Montana participating in the Teamworks construction competition at Skills USA, that's cause and pause for them, right? So that's one narrative. The other narrative is really around knowledge transfer, right? Everybody wants to talk about the whole, we got 5 pros exiting and only 1 coming back in. Yeah, that makes a capacity crunch for sure. And that is a very tangible thing that we have to be concerned about. But also there's a massive knowledge deficit that's being perpetuated there, right? So when we work with a guy like Ty Pennington in our shows, it's not because Gen Z or Gen Alpha knows who Ty Pennington is, right? Mom and dad do, for sure, right? We bring Ty in because he's so self-deprecating and affable that like he's able to connect with the young people that are around him on such a great level and also drop knowledge, right? He's got this perspective on like, oh, this and that and like construction math and like talking about what Jennifer, what you're saying earlier about, math and geometry. Ty has a story about, he's like, I damn near failed geometry. And then I got on a job site and I got to use my hands and like actually make it happen instead of using pencil and paper. He's like, it clicked. He's like, I just learned differently. So anyways, that's like, you guys got me going on this, but like the construction champion, like show up and be curious, right? On both sides of the spectrum.
I love it. I love both the answers, and so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna take this into what I believe the misconception is that people don't want to work. The young generation doesn't want to be in construction. And I don't believe that to be true. I've always said the construction industry as a whole has a huge marketing problem, like how we present ourselves. And that's what you two are out fixing every day is you're working on how is the construction industry positioning itself to the younger generations, because we have done to just be a piss poor job of it. Like we are just not good at all the benefits of working in the construction industry. So if you both could dive in, like how are you doing that and what are some of the challenges in that?
Yeah, so I think, it's really interesting, because the tool belt generation, as JJ said, we are hearing more about it. And some people have asked me, is that a myth? And it's not a myth. 84% of Gen Zers and their parents have now, through surveys, expressed that they have respect for the skilled trades. We have 67% of Gen Zers, including 78% of those that went to a college degree, are actually more interested now in finding options and other ways to do things. So it's happening in terms of that interest. But what we have to do then is we have to think about what they're doing. The thing that I love about the Skilled Careers Coalition is that they're meeting them where they're at. So one of the things, I just recently was at a conference and I was talking to a bunch of contractors and owners. And what I told them is, look, you don't have to spend a bunch of money. You need to get your people that on your project sites to get out their phone and go, hey, look where I am right now. Look what we're building. Let me show you where I'm at. Because what's happening is we have a generation of people that want authentic stuff to look at. They can tell if it's fake from a mile away. You had the millennials that doctored every part of their face and had all the filters and talked about their fake families and their fake lives. Now you have these digital natives that know everything there is to know about a phone, online, anything it is, and they can spot the lie from a mile away. They want authentic people showing them what is it like to do the job you're talking about. Because guess what? I've watched a whole generation be lied to, and they went to college, and only 46% or less are actually working in their area, their field of study. So tell me what it's really going to be like to do this job. Well, what better place than construction? Have your people talk about, like I said, we're at a hospital right now. We're building a cancer center. We're building a community center. We're building the local church, the high school, the office building, whatever it is. And you get these real life people. We are seeing a huge following on TikTok and everything, where you even have young women that are 5 o'clock in the morning putting on their work boots and they're like, hey, I'm starting my day. I got my thermos of coffee. I'm putting on my boots. I'm getting ready to go build something really cool. You should check this out. That's what it takes. It takes authentic people talking about what they're doing. We don't have to spend a bunch of money as an industry. We just need to flood the airwaves. We need to put it out there that this is what it's like. You get to leave every day and go, look what I did. Look what I did today. Look what we did together. Here's me and all my friends here, and we're building this stuff. And it doesn't matter who you are, you can come do the same thing. That's what we have to do.
Mm.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. I mean, when you talked about where the miss was so far, and it was I thought about my experience at Movember. When we got going at Movember, like no one was talking about men's health. Like I started working there in 2011, and nobody had mustaches at the time. It was not a thing.
No,
Or mullets for that matter, right? They were not on trend, right? So the novelty of the of men's health coupled with the mustache, like really kind of like gave us lightning in a bottle. And I have this conditioned response because I remember, especially in the early days as we were getting going as a real national movement around men's health, and starting the conversation, like the number of times that I got people saying, yeah, but what are you really doing? Right. I was like, hold the phone. Like the conversation is the currency here. Like it's okay. And I got like lambasted for the awareness, right? Like, and I look at what's going on here and I'm like, awareness isn't a dirty word when it comes to the labor gap, right? Like we actually have an awareness problem. So telling the story of all the different trades that bring something to life is huge. And your trades can take you anywhere. Like just because you enter into construction doesn't mean that you can't end up being the head of studio operations for Warner Brothers Discovery. Like we have a great partnership with them, and the Superman movie, 20% of their budget was dedicated to, or something like that, was dedicated to construction, right? Like you have to build these things, right? And it takes talent and skilled labor to do that. we did a really interesting video series with SoFi Stadium where we got to interview the head of campus there. And he's like, we never stop painting the building. You know, imagine we have 70,000 house guests every Sunday and things get beaten up. Like we've got full-time welders. We've got, you know, everybody doing everything fully, you know, leaning in. He's like, the message is like, I know you want to play on Sundays for the Rams or Chargers. I know you want to be on stage and be the next Taylor Swift. But guess what? Those aren't a dime a dozen, right? You don't get it. Like that's not every day that you can be one of those, you know, entertainers or athletes. But what you can do is there's literally a couple hundred people around that's stadium that are making this thing happen, right? Like building the rigging, doing everything, you know, contextualizing the opportunity and like saying, hey, listen, you're 13. I know you like Taylor Swift. I know you like Sabrina Carpenter, whatever. And also, in order for that to happen, here's the amazing trades that made it happen, right? So I really think that there's an opportunity to kind of like, you know, go in and inspire folks. And to Jennifer's point earlier, like on TikTok, on YouTube, it doesn't have to be polished. Like I'm watching small business owners on TikTok who are literally just like going to do a new roofing project or framing project. And they're literally just like clipping open their phone, resting it, and going to work. That's it. Yeah. And people are curious. Like that's where like this is the generation of like you learn here, right? Like it's not about just stupid dance videos.
I know I agree with that, and I love the perspective of getting everybody involved. That it's not typically we hear it from like the ownership side. Oh, you got to be out there. This is what you got to build. But like, how do we get to the masses? Isn't just through the owners. It's through the people that are out there actually doing it. When I look back on my career, like I wish I started making content when I was in the trenches. Like I've been there and done it, but I don't have the content log to show this progression through the construction industry and everything that I've done. And it would be so amazing, and it just hits home differently. And there is no better industry that's poised for where like social media is going, with just the realness, the rawness, just like this is what it is, than the construction industry. Like we were built for that.
Yeah. It visually it's amazing, right? Like I mean, it's right up there with like, you know, the auto sector. Like there's an amazing creator from TikTok that we got to work with at Skills USA in Atlanta this last summer. Her name's the She Mechanic, that's her handle. And she went from being a nurse to being an auto mechanic. And she's like, I just started videoing my like me taking apart an engine for the first time and then, you know, putting it up on TikTok just for fun. Now she's got 125,000 followers. She has a dedicated shop. She went from being a mobile operation to having her own business and shop. And I mean, she's killing it. And you see the same thing with like, there's some creators that we're working with out of Tennessee called the Breck Brothers. And they're doing the same thing. And it's all facilitating like business for them, but also it's just showing people like, hey, this is what a day in the life is, right? Like, and I think that context is key. Like it demystifies, it makes it easier for someone who's 13, 14, 15 be like, that doesn't look terrible. I think I can give that a go. Like you make it up, you make it to be a mountain, you know, a mountain out of a molehill in your brain. But when you see it happening in action on a TikTok video or a YouTube video, you're like, oh, that ain't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I could do that. Like,
well, you know, JJ, you're talking about, you know, the beauty of it. I think about when you look at the skylines, you're going somewhere like for me, and maybe it's because I just love construction. When I see the cranes, when I go somewhere and I see the tower crane somewhere, I'm like super excited. I'm like wanting to take pictures. We do need to take pictures of that. You know what? There's people out there that, let's think about ironworking and tower cranes and climbing up of them. And people don't even realize, like, you like rock climbing? You like doing some of this stuff? Boy, do we have some jobs for you. Come on in and find out what you can do. And I love, Ron, what you said earlier too. You know, you don't have to stay doing that. Like our industry, what other industry can you go from your tools to being the CEO or the owner of a company? You're working on a manufacturing line. I got news for you. You're probably not going to own that manufacturing company. You're a doctor in a hospital. You're not going to own that hospital. Guess what you can do when you're in construction? You work your way up through the trades and you become a crew leader and a foreman and a superintendent. And then you want to do some project management and you want to go in. There are construction companies pay for you to get this education. They invest in their people, and you get to go on these wild rides, these incredible pathways that you could own your own company. So talk about beauty and talk about cool things and what you get to see and what you get to be. That's who we are. I mean, at the heart of it, that's who we are. I talked to Sun Construction not too long ago, and 40% of their management started on their tools. 40% of their management started on their tools. So it's only a beginning to get out there and learn and get the skills. And Ron, you were saying you did it for a long time and you were in the trenches and everything. That's what makes your life whole. That's what makes you understand a business really good. But again, being a doctor, being a teacher, you're not necessarily going to own the school. You're not going to own the hospital. Here, you can. We see it every day. We hear success stories of people telling us here at NCCR, thank you so much. I love the education I got in welding and HVAC and electrical and millwright and boiler making, whatever that might be. And guess what I'm doing now? I own my own company. That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
You're giving me chills, because that is what I'm out here preaching to people, is like the trajectory for a 18, 17-year-old kid entering the construction industry. There is no limit. Like the sky is not the limit. There is not. Like, I went from running a jackhammer to running a construction company. Like, the career trajectory is unbelievable in construction. And like you said, you don't have these opportunities other places like we do. And it just really fascinates me, but we don't talk about that because everybody thinks is, oh, once I'm on a hammer, I'm on a hammer. Now, are there guys that spend their entire life on the hammer? Yes. But I'll tell you what, they chose to do that. I knew a lot of them that's what they wanted to do. They were perfectly happy with that life. They loved the money they made. They didn't want to have any leadership. They didn't want to continue to grow their skill set because they were just good with where they were at, which is good. But a lot of people, especially the younger generations, like, they want to know, where am I headed? And there is no better vision to cast if you own a construction company than to a kid that's sitting there that's just like, where can I be in 10 years? Or in 10 years in construction, I mean, you could be an executive at a construction company and not even be 30 yet. And the money follows this. The money is there, and I mean, what you guys are talking about is absolutely amazing to me, because this is what the industry needs to hear. It needs to start to digest. It's what the new generation needs to hear and understand that this is the possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, I love, like, the hope is that we start, going further and further upstream in terms of like that entree into all the trades, right? Like construction included, right? So like, how are we going into these classrooms and planting that seed early on, that, like, first off, it's fun, right? Like, let's start there. Like, you're building a birdhouse in, fifth grade. Cool. Like, if you enjoyed that, let's progress you just a little bit and let's keep going and going and going. And then how do you get to a point where you're doing some purposeful, like, work-based learning around the age of 16, such that when you're 18 and you graduate, you understand that you have a legitimate career path, going into construction, right? And construction, I I don't even think of like college as, a place that we need to compete with anymore. I think we need to just compete with like what the traditional job is for that high school, student or graduating senior, which is like quick serve restaurants, retail. Like, that's a job. That's a job. Like, it'll pay the bills, but like at some point you're going to be like, what's my career? Right. And how do we facilitate and make it easier for those young kids to get straight into step one of a career, right? Like, is it apprenticeship programs? Is it, really cool competitions that you can do with Skills USA, where you're also getting soft skill development, right? Like, working with, NCCER and the amazing schools that they work with. Like, I think that, my hope is that we can start to carve out a piece of that, employable workforce, if you will, who's literally going like, I could work at Gap, or I could be step one on a site and starting my career, right?
I love it. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I would just say, one of the things, just hearing JJ talk to, one of the things that I love that I think is happening right now. So we talk about getting to parents and we talk about people seeing things differently that we so desperately need to do. Um, and finally, it used to be, oh, what college is your kid doing? Where are they going after high school? And someone maybe that had a kid that was going in construction would be like, oh, well, my son's construction. And now I hear people going, oh, my son or daughter got into an apprenticeship program, or they're going over to the community college to the skilled trades program. We're starting to shout that, and we need to do that. For a while, we, even as parents, being in the construction industry, knowing how great it was, we were not shouting that from the rooftops. And we need to say that. Apprenticeship is a 4-year college program. Come on. You've got 4 years that you're working all day and going to school at night or on the weekends. Come on, let's be serious. College kids are working in Starbucks while they're going for a philosophy degree. We're talking about people that are laying down iron all day long and going to their apprenticeship at night. You want to talk about a true real life. And guess what? They know what they're going to do when they get done with 4 years. Philosophy student has no idea when they graduate from college in 4 years what they're going to do. And we're certainly not going to have the debt. When you look at these banks saying that it's taking on average 25 to 30 years to pay off student debt, what are you talking about? You got employers that are saying, I'll pay for you to be in this apprenticeship program, or you've got community colleges or trade schools that it's like a quarter of the cost to go to that, and you get jobs. I mean, it get careers, lifelong careers. But I do, it's the parents, it's those of us in the industry as parents that have to say, I have 2 daughters in it. So I talk about the fact my girls are in construction. That's what they do. They build stuff. That's what my kids do. I don't know what your kids are doing. Mine are building stuff. You went by something, you saw that place you want to go shop. My kids build that. That's what we do.
Yeah. I think I'm reminded of, a story. So you talk about, the coalition working across sectors, right? And like how we want to find best practices in one place and see if we can perpetuate it other places, right? And I had a chance to go out to Davenport, Iowa, and do a site visit at the Davenport Works facility for John Deere. They have a registered high school apprenticeship program that is tied to 5 high schools in the Quad City area. And you've got about 30 welding apprentices who are 16 and over, who will graduate high school with 2,000 hours of welding. And it's scaled from just the welding proficiency to a number of others. But the program that I saw was remarkable, and the learning about the progression too was really cool. Like they started at 18 saying like, I don't really want 16-year-olds in the factory, right? But then they realized like, oh, it's only making a marginal dent, right? Like how do we actually, if we're getting to them at 18, it's probably too late. So let's push into 16. Let's go take the steps, right? Working with UAW, working with local fabricators, machinists, like building like really local community support around this program. And it started cooking with gas, right? You started getting some enrollment where it fully became like really on fire and working well. They brought in an Iowa State professor to talk to the apprentices and teach them how to tell their story, because not because they're going to get up in front of a classroom and present or do anything like that, but because when they go to their friend's house or when they go to their uncle's barbecue and they're talking to that 12-year-old cousin of theirs or the 12-year-old little brother, they're able to say, this is what I'm doing. I'm making money. I'm doing this during the day. Like, and all of a sudden that little, who's looking up to the big going, well, shoot, that sounds pretty damn good. You don't have to be you're only in school for 20 hours a week, and 20 hours you're on the floor welding. Awesome. Sign me up. Like that's when that program started perpetuating. It's like, how do we do that, across a number of different sectors, right? Like, how do we get, how do we not only expose to meaningful work, right? Apprenticeships are a great pathway, right? But how do you also coach these young people up to say, hey, listen, like while you're doing this, tell your story, right? Either word of mouth, grassroots, like, going back into your community and sharing your story. Or like I said earlier, it's not bad to pull up your phone and just say like, here's my day in my life. Like people are curious. Like it's not meaningless, mindless scrolling, right? Like it is like people want to learn. People want to understand what goes into the day in the life, right?
I love it. So as we wrap this episode up here, I would like to have each one of you do is not just tell us where we can connect with you and do all of that, but really break down what it is your guys' organizations do, where you need, how people can help with that. And then, of course, how we can connect with you, learn more about it, and be part of it for all of our listeners out there.
Go for it, Jennifer.
Sure. So the National Center for Construction Education and Research, we're a nonprofit education foundation. So what we do is we create the curriculum and the assessments for everything from those fundamentals of construction to 40 different craft areas. Like I said, everything you can think of that you would normally, welding, electrical, carpentry, but also solar, photovoltaic. Maybe that's something you're interested in. Electronic systems technician, millwright. There's probably crafts people don't even know that that's what they are and what they do, because we don't speak that language out in the public, telling them what a millwright's doing, hooking up all the equipment and everything. So we develop that and we provide credentials. So the main thing that I'm so proud of that I wish my husband would have had back when he was going to school back in the early 80s and stuff in high school is that all of our curriculum is attached to industry recognized credentials, because everything we do is built by industry for industry, so that these young people can start getting credentials like JJ's talking about. When you're in high school, start building up those credentials, get that experience under your belt, learn the knowledge, and then have that carry with you so that you can be very proud and show people, here's what I've done. And you don't have to start at the bottom again over and over. Years ago, you went from one construction company to the other and they didn't talk to each other, and there was no way for you to show what you had already learned. And so we help out with that. So those are things we do. Some of the other great things that I love that NCCR does is we spend a lot of time connecting high schools and connecting industry and colleges and industry and even corrections. We have amazing correctional facilities. I believe construction is the second chance industry. And you have these people that are in our programs across the United States that are coming out and getting jobs, writing us letters like, this changed my life because I found welding or HVAC or electrical, carpentry, whatever that might be. And now I'm changing my family's life as a result of that. So we do things like that. We right now are celebrating Careers in Construction Month. October for us is Careers in Construction Month through our Build Your Future initiative. We have a place on our byf.org website where contractors can take the pledge to get in a classroom. And we ask contractors like sign up and say, this month I am going to go in a classroom near me. And then we put a big raffle for all the contractors that do that, and we give away $1,000 scholarships to 5 different schools for to buy tools, whatever that they might need. But the contractors get to choose their favorite school. And the last thing I'll say on that, I have contractors ask me all the time, well, I don't know how to get involved with the school. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to tell you, as a teacher of 13 years, if you go to any school that's near you and you say, hey, I would love to sponsor a teacher breakfast or a teacher lunch, they'll say, when do you want to come and who do you want to talk to? Come on in. And you get a chance to meet these teachers. They just don't know what they don't know. They don't know. And they don't know how to connect with you either. So I would say, take a pledge, help us out, get in a classroom, adopt a school. As JJ said earlier, help them any way that you can. Maybe it's just showing them how to do some things. You can find NCCR online. So it's nccer.org. As I mentioned, we have our Build Your Future initiative, which is byf.org. I'm on LinkedIn. I try to be as active as I can, not as good as what JJ and them are, but check out NCCR, and we'd love to have the support of just helping us get in more schools.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I was going to say, all I want anybody to take away from this is to go hang out with NCCR and Jennifer a little bit more. I'd love if people are so inclined and curious, I'd love for them to go and check out Skills Jam on YouTube and TikTok and give it a look. Like, understand that it's meant to inspire the next generation, and always love to get people's notes and comments and whatnot. So there's that. And then I was gonna say the challenge at large is more of a big picture. Like, go, if you're listening to this podcast, you're in the industry already, like, how can you be a part of the fabric of the community? How can you actually go create a valuable conversation with some young people, that could be raising your hand and diving in as an advisor and working with a local program, or like sponsoring a Skills USA chapter or whatnot. But I also like, I mean, you could go to the local Big Brothers Big Sisters, right? Like, we hosted an event with them, and at a carpenters union in San Diego, and like it was a great event. Like, it was the first time a lot of these younger, these littles had swung a hammer, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, exposure at any rate is great. A great entree. I'd also even encourage, that you might not be able to sponsor a lunch, but if you reach out to your local sports teams, like your local like high school sports teams, like say, hey coach, like I know you got a bunch of graduating seniors here. Like, you mind if I come in and we talk about, like, I'm looking for folks who already have the soft skills of knowing what it's like to be on a team and work hard and do all this. Like, can I tell them what we got cooking over here, and like maybe we can figure something out. Like, that's a great pathway. Like, and that's just me, singing from the team sports songbook, but I see a lot of great like opportunity to build a pipeline directly from those high school athletes who are not going to go on and play college or pro, and get them into the trades. They already have the wherewithal. Like, they'll be able to conduct themselves well on a job site, right? Like, let's bring them into the mix. So go down and talk to those coaches and see if you can talk to the players.
I love it. Well, Jennifer and JJ, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. All right, Construction Champions, another episode in the bag. One that's near and dear to my heart. This is why I started this podcast. As most of our listeners know, when I got out of the Marine Corps in 2011, I ended up on a job site. And a lot of times, I credit that probably with saving my life. I had no prior construction experience, but I found a brotherhood, I found a community, and I found what I was missing after I got out of the Marine Corps. And I just went to the wall. Like, I just dove into it. I learned everything I possibly could about the construction industry and just grew through it. And the opportunities that it has afforded myself, my family, my life, it's completely unbelievable. And I started this podcast, if you go back and listen to episode 0, is to change the mindset around this industry. 3 years ago, it was to have conversations like this about how do we go out and we just change the entire trajectory of people's lives because they understand construction differently than they just drive by a job site and see a bunch of people that are dirty. Because that's not what construction is. Construction is a family. It's a home. It's a way, not a way of life, but it becomes so ingrained in your life and everything that you have to do to where, I got a 7-year-old son. He loves construction. He loves machines. And I think about it, like, where do we lose this disconnect as little kids and think about how awesome it would be to run a bulldozer and excavator one day to where we get older. And it's like, I would never want to do that. What do you mean? This is every little kid's dream. Like, what we get to do and build stuff is what you once dreamed about as a kid. So for me, what these two are doing is absolutely amazing. I'm very proud to be able to have them on the episode today. So Construction Champions, make sure you go get involved, because this is how we continue to move this forward. This is how our kids can have an impact on the construction industry in the next generation. Because if you're concerned about it now, think about what it's going to be like for our kids in the construction industry. If we don't fix this right now, we're the biggest thing out there. Like, without the industry, stuff don't get built. So make sure we're planting the seeds now for all the future generations, even the ones that we don't even know what they'll be called yet, but they're going to be here. And this is the change that has to happen. So Construction Champions, until next time, be the champion you were meant to be.